Yo, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, good people? What's going on? What's going on? What is going on? How you doing? How you doing? Peace and love, peace and love. Happy, tenacious and truthful Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. We are moving right along with the day. We are moving right along with a beautiful day and a beautiful week here on SR Daily, episode 290. Episode 290. Just 10 episodes away from another milestone episode, 300. Super excited about that. 300 episodes is indeed a good feat, regardless of what. The fact that you can stay consistent for anything for 300 episodes is definitely a positive thing. We are here on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube Live. We are on Instagram Live over here. Peace and love. Welcome. Episode 290 of SR Daily. I am your boy, your host, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, and you are tuned in. I should put this phone on here so we can, wow, we still got TikTok. Might as well use it, right? Let's put this phone over here. Boom, bap. Get that set up. Oh, snap. My TikTok's not on there. It's all good. We won't do TikTok today. Use all the outlets, man. I'm using all the outlets while I still got them, still have access to the outlets. Might as well use them all. But we are going to get the show rolling. I'm trying to move that out of the way, get that like that. Boom, bap, turn that a little bit that way. Here we go. Let us start the show. Give me 1 second, guys. We are going to hit the share button here on Facebook so we can share it on the story. So anybody who checks the story over this next 30 minutes can see it and also tune in. And then we are going to get the show started with our first segment of the day. Today's first segment is a word of the day, and our word for today is indeed boycott. Boycott is the word of the day. I've been reading it. I've been listening to the videos. I've been tuned in the last few days, as so many people have called for a boycott. On top of the boycotts people are already doing. If you know me, I love it. I love the drama. I love taking action. I love taking a stand. But let us get into the word boycott, right, as we start the show today. So boycott is a collective action where people refuse to buy, use, or support a person, organization, or product. Boycotts are a form of protest and are usually done to express disapproval or to force change. Withdraw from commercial or social relations with the country, organization, or person as a punishment or protest, right? Now, we are going to, it was something else that was super important to read, right? This is important. To refuse to buy, use, or participate in something as a way of protesting. To refuse to buy, use, or participate in something as a way of protesting. Plans to boycott American products, right? In the past, they have boycotted the transportation systems, and I think absolutely boycotts are effective. Personally, right? And although this is everything is personal, but it's collective, right? But I'm all for boycotts. All right, I'm all for boycotts, but I am more so, I guess, striving to, right? I'm part of the group of people striving to get to the point where you don't even have to boycott, where everything is your own, period, right? Where everything is built by self, period, right? I think a lot of time people who call for boycotts is because they are entrenched in that system or with that company or with that product that then they're like, oh, we need to stop. It's like we shouldn't have been spending there, period. We shouldn't have been part of that system, period, right? And always surprised. Maybe not even really surprised. I'm always, what's the word? Taken aback by people who refuse to boycott certain things, but they'll boycott others based on who said it, right? We are still living in the mindset. We're still living in the times where a lot of us are part of the groupthink, right? Where a certain person or certain group of people say something and you follow without thinking critically, right? Jenny Dubnar, what's going on, my sister? Peace and love. How you doing? Welcome to the show on Instagram world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nori Vaz, peace and love. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I remember that name from somewhere. I can't remember exactly who that is, but thank you so much for tuning into the show on Instagram. I appreciate you and your participation this morning, right? But yeah, boycott is necessary to boycott, right? But I think in boycotting, we have to be mindful of who we're listening to, what we're boycotting, and why, right? Now there are people who are extremely intelligent, right? People who are extremely intelligent, who sometimes our emotions get in the way of our logical decision making, right? Now I'm gonna say we should have been boycotting the American political system, right? And then somebody say, well, if you don't vote, then you don't have a say. Absolutely, I do. Because if I don't vote, I'm still a human and it still matters what's happening with, to, and in my life, right? And if I vote for a candidate and another candidate wins, I can still go to the candidate that won who I didn't vote for and make a complaint, right? You can still do that. So if people say if you don't participate, you got nothing to say, no, it's not true. You can abstain. We can boycott the American political system. We don't have to vote for parties that we don't believe in. We don't have to participate in efforts that we don't support, right? We don't have to just because somebody said you do. That's a fact. However, right now, current times, people are calling for a boycott of Target, of Walmart, of all of these different companies that have rolled back their DEI initiative, right? The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiative that said that companies had to interview and or hire, they had to be more diverse in their interview and hiring practices, right? We still know that although that initiative has been in place for a number of years now, that it was still not equal, right? There was still no equality in that process, right? Now, again, you're always going to get two sides of something because there are some people who say you shouldn't even be begging them for jobs. I'm one of those people. However, I understand that the majority of our people, black people, brown people, are not have not either have not started a business or have started a business like me and are not yet in a position to hire people. So people got to get jobs. People got to get jobs. Everyone is not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Everyone is not cut out to, depend on themselves. Everyone doesn't have that capability because it takes a lot, right? So some people are going to get jobs, and you're going to get the jobs that are good paying, right? That have good benefits, right? That are part of quote unquote a good company, have a good reputation, right? Valid. So what do we do? What do we do? And then we're going to get more into it later in the show where we're talking about boycott, but we're also talking about now in the boycott, there's selective purchasing. Right, we're going to talk about that later in the build of the day. But I just wanted to give some, thoughts on the actual word boycott, what it means, why it's important, right? And let's read a little more about boycotts, right? So why do people boycott? People boycott to express moral outrage. People boycott to advocate for social, political, or environmental change. People boycott to inflict economic loss on the target. Economic loss on the target. So we should have been boycotting the American political system. We should be boycotting the American educational system. We should be boycotting the American healthcare system. Dare I say that we should boycott the American education system, the American healthcare system, the American religious systems? A lot of things should be boycotted, right? People boycott to show disapproval of a company's actions, policies, or practices, which is right now why people are calling for a boycott, because they're saying that, a lot of these corporations rolling back their DEI initiatives shows that they don't really care about us. Them having to have a DEI initiative is showing that they don't really care about us. The fact that government has to make it policy for you to hire diversely, focused on equity and inclusion, that to me says that you don't care about us. Why do I want to work for a company that don't care about us? Why do I want to work for a company that only is hiring me because of a policy, not because they really want me around, not because I'm a benefit to them? No, yes, because I'm a benefit to them, right? Because of the policy, and they get looked at as being good if they hire me based on DEI initiative, DEI practices, right? Examples of boycotts: boycotting a company that has unfair labor practice, boycotting a company that refuses to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions, and boycotting a company that treats its employees poorly. So boycotts work. Boycotts are good. I'm all for boycotts. But I'm also for critical thinking and analysis, right? No Revised, I was rooting for you during your hunger strike. Thank you so much. That hunger strike was absolutely brutal. It was absolutely brutal experience. It was cold. It was rainy. Outside freaking 2 weeks, right? It was a lot, but we are home now. We did that. It was successful. We are actually going to release the documentary soon, right? It was a short documentary. We aired it in theaters. But well, not in theaters. We aired it in one theater last year, but we're going to put it out on YouTube, put it out on social networks, soon, like in the next few days, few weeks. But yeah, boycott. That is what boycott is. That is why people boycott. Super important, super necessary. Let us move right along to our second segment of the day. Today's second segment, our need to know news. The news is global news, and I think it is really important news. The CIA is now saying that COVID virus may have indeed originated in a lab. The CIA is now saying that the COVID-19 virus that killed many millions of people may have indeed originated in a lab. Let's read the article from CBS. Where is CBS? CBS is over here. CIA now says, this is article from yesterday morning, January 27th, 8:42 a.m. CIA now says COVID most likely originated from a lab leak, but has low confidence in its assessment. Let's take a few minutes to go through this. The CIA now believes the virus responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic most likely originated from a laboratory, according to an assessment released Saturday that points the finger at China, even while acknowledging that the spy agency has low confidence in its own conclusion. The finding is not the result of any new intelligence, and the report was completed at the behest of the Biden administration and former CIA Director William Burns. It was declassified and released Saturday on the orders of President Trump's pick to lead the agency, John Ratcliffe, who was sworn in Thursday as director. CIA assesses with low confidence that a research-related origin of the COVID-19 pandemic is more likely than a natural origin based on the available body of reporting. CIA continues to assess that both research-related and natural origin scenarios of the COVID-19 pandemic remain plausible. A spokesperson for the agency said in a statement, noting they will continue to evaluate any available credible new intelligence reporting or open source information that could change CIA's assessment. Jake Sullivan, the Biden administration national security advisor, ordered a classified review in December of U.S. intelligence that had been gathered on the origins of COVID-19. One current and one former U.S. official confirmed to CBS News. Sullivan convened a panel of outside experts to assess the intelligence and asked the intelligence community to review its data and form a conclusion. Both officials told CBS News there was no new quote-unquote smoking gun, but rather a low-confidence assessment based on the same data. Burns ordered the review before leaving the CIA, citing high policymaker interest. The nuanced findings suggest the agency believes the totality of evidence makes a laboratory origin more likely than a natural origin, but the agency's assessment assigns a low degree of confidence to this conclusion, suggesting that evidence is deficient, inconclusive, or contradictory. Earlier reports on the origins of COVID-19 have split over whether the coronavirus emerged from a Chinese lab, potentially by mistake, or whether it arose naturally. The new assessment is not likely to settle the debate. In fact, intelligence officials say it may never be resolved due to a lack of cooperation from Chinese authorities. Instead of new evidence, the conclusion was based on fresh analysis of intelligence about the spread of the virus, its scientific properties, and the work and conditions of China's virology labs. China said Monday it disagreed with the assessment. The conclusion that a laboratory leak is extremely unlikely was reached by the China World Health Organization joint expert team on field visits to relevant laboratories in Wuhan. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said, this has been widely recognized by the international community and the scientific community. U.S. lawmakers have pressured American spy agencies for more information about the origins of the virus, which led to lockdowns, economic upheaval, and millions of deaths. It's a question with significant domestic and geopolitical implications as the world continues to grapple with the pandemic's legacy. Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said Saturday he was pleased The CIA concluded in the final days of the Biden administration that the lab leak theory is the most plausible explanation, and he commended Ratcliffe for declassifying the assessment. Now, the most important thing is to make China pay for unleashing a plague on the world, Cotton said in a statement. Whew, that sounds like war. It sounds crazy. Make them pay. Chinese authorities have dismissed speculation about COVID's origins as unhelpful and motivated by politics. On Saturday, a spokesperson for China's U.S. embassy said the CIA report has no credibility. We firmly opposed the politicization and stigmatization of the source of the virus, and once again call on everyone to respect science and stay away from conspiracy theories, embassy spokesperson Liu Pingyu said in a statement emailed to the Associated Press. While the origin of the virus remains unknown, scientists think the most likely hypothesis is that it circulated in bats, like many coronaviruses before infecting another species, probably raccoon dogs, civet cats, or bamboo rats. In turn, the infection spread to humans handling or butchering those animals at a market in Wuhan, where the first human cases appeared in late November 2019. Some official investigations, however, have raised the question of whether the virus escaped from a lab in Wuhan. 2 years ago, a report by the Energy Department concluded a lab leak was the most likely origin, though that report also expressed low confidence in the finding. The same year, then FBI Director Christopher Wray said his agency believed the virus most likely spread after escaping from a lab. Ratcliffe, who served as Director of National Intelligence during Trump's first term, he said he favors the lab leak scenario too. The lab leak is the only theory supported by science, intelligence, and common sense, Ratcliffe said in 2023. The CIA said it will continue to evaluate any new information that could change its assessment. Whew, baby, it's a lot happening. They say you gotta make them pay. Sounds like, man, there's always stuff going on between America and China, right? Again, beware of groupthink, right? Avoid the snares of groupthink. Think for yourself. I understand a lot of. I mean, everyone's brain works differently, right? People have different things to think about and focus on, right? But if you care, think for yourself, man. Don't just follow what people say. Don't just think how you should. Don't just think how people expect you to. All right, follow your heart. Think for yourself. Quiet your mind, and come to an assessment so that you can make decisions on how you move with you, your family, your network, your circle, your business, and things like that, right? She said, so they eat bats. Yo, a lot of different people eat a lot of different things, beloved. It's crazy in this world. It's a crazy world. Let's move right along to our third segment of the day. Today's third segment, our tip of the day, is to beware of groupthink. As I just mentioned, my brother Razor introduced me to the book 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene over a decade ago, right? And this is one of my favorite chapters. Avoid the snares of groupthink, right? We're going to read now, get into groupthink. What is groupthink? Groupthink is a tendency for people in a group to prioritize consensus over critical thinking, which can lead to poor decisions. Groupthink is a tendency for people in a group to prioritize consensus over critical thinking, which can lead to poor decisions. It can be dangerous in small groups, companies, and even industries. What is groupthink? Let's talk about it some more. Group members avoid expressing opinions or suggesting new ideas. The group adopts a set of assumptions and moves forward unquestioningly. Group members ignore important information. Group members may not adequately assess risk and benefits. Groupthink is when you're not thinking for yourself. Groupthink is when you're not using logic to make a decision, when you're going only off your feelings, only off your emotions. For example, a boycott. Not saying this boycott is not valid, shouldn't be executed. I'm just saying beware of groupthink, right? People are on one side of the boycott, then one person says this, and people sway to that side of the boycott. Another person says this, and people sway to that side. Think for yourself. Think for yourself, and be not easily swayed. Right? Be rooted in who you are, be rooted in your conviction, and don't move just because a certain person says you should move. Right? Like literally. So how can groupthink lead to bad decisions? Group members may suppress individual opinions and creative thought. Group members may engage in self-censorship. Group members may perceive the group as inherently moral or right, and that happens a lot of times in the Black community, specifically as it relates to civil rights, as it relates to religion, Very few people are able to, when they're caught up in those movements, when they're caught up in those situations, whether they're fighting for civil rights, right? And a civil rights leader, let's say Reverend Al Sharpton says we got to do this. People do that, like without thinking, right? Group members may discard data that doesn't support the group's conclusion. For example, everyone voting for the Democrats, right, saying that Trump is horrible. Cool, he may be a terrible person, but that doesn't mean you automatically need to vote for the other people because you don't like this person. Groupthink, right? Group members may discard data that doesn't support the group's conclusion. Now, how can people avoid groupthink? You can evaluate ideas critically, keep your ideas to yourself at first, have smaller group discussions, consider an outsider's opinion, be open-minded. This is one thing. I've always been open-minded, but specifically since coming into Taoism has reminded me to be open-minded, right? Challenge the status quo, encourage the group to adopt and discuss a liminal idea, right? Identify and celebrate moments of broad agreement. That's how you can avoid groupthink. Like, okay, there's broad agreement. Let's identify them and celebrate them. But let's also, that's only after coming to, after having discussions, after having, smaller group conversations, after really thinking, challenging the status quo, really examining what is being put before us. All right. And when can groupthink be especially dangerous? In medical, military, or political decisions. In medical, military, and political decisions, groupthink can be extremely dangerous. It can lead to the fall of a country. It can lead to the deaths of millions of people. All right. In business, it can lead to the collapse of a company. All right. When nobody is thinking for themselves, when nobody is using critical thought and analysis, when we are all just focusing on following what the leader says or what the people in the most prominent positions say, we're just following, not thinking. Right. So yeah, man, beware of groupthink, right? Or as the book actually says, avoid the snares of groupthink, right? It says, avoid the snares of groupthink, the command and control strategy. The problem in leading any group is that people inevitably have their own agendas. You have to create a chain of command in which they do not feel constrained by your influence, yet follow your lead. Create a sense of participation, but do not fall into groupthink, the irrationality of collective decision making. Groupthink. Mona Love, what's going on, baby girl? Peace and love. Thank you for tuning in. Happy, tenacious, and truthful Tuesday indeed. We are going to move right along to our fourth and final segment of the day. Today's fourth and final segment is indeed a build of the day. And today's build, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get into selective buying in the case of DEI, especially at stores that carry Black brands. Selective buying in the case of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially at stores that carry Black brands. There are so many companies that have rolled back the DEI practices. So many companies. People are mad. People are calling for a boycott of businesses that have done this. However, there are some Black folks saying not to boycott, but to instead go to those stores and only purchase the Black brands that are being sold there. There are people who are saying, hey, I know this store rolled back their DEI initiative. However, I'm in their store, so don't boycott the store. Go to the store and purchase my products or purchase the products of other Black folks, brown folks, right? Now, of course, people are split on both sides. People are split on both sides, calling each other names and everything. I'm watching it. I'm looking at it. I'm laughing and I'm crying at the same time. It is sad and it is funny. It is sad and it is funny. Beware of groupthink. Is that a book? The book is 33 Strategies of War. 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. There is a chapter in it called Avoid the Snares of Groupthink. So that's the book and that's the chapter. Yes, groupthink. Groupthink is not itself a book. It is in the book, right? You may find a book on groupthink. I don't know. But is this another example of divide and conquer, right? You got these companies. They're saying, hey, we're no longer practicing DEI. We're no longer having this DEI where we got to interview and hire diversely based on equity and inclusion. We don't want to do that no more. We're not doing that no more. So we're rolling back. We're rolling it back. People are like, yo, F that. We need to boycott. Boycott that store. Boycott that institution. People are like, okay, cool. Well, wait. Don't boycott. My stuff is in there. I got to make bread. I got a contract with them. Isn't that the purpose of sacrifice? Sometimes you lose contracts. And yeah, okay, it may lead to lawsuits. So don't do it then. Don't remove your products. Right? If you are beholden to that company and that company has shown a disdain for your people, then if you want to keep your stuff there, keep your stuff there. All right. Again, I think this is a classic case of the difference between being an advocate for something and being a revolutionary. Because you can be an advocate, you can be an activist, but a revolutionary is somebody different. I think a revolutionary will be like, I don't care about the contract. Like, we're going to figure out how to get out of this, because if that's what you care about, if you don't care about that, then cool. Right? Because some people are going to say this should never have even been DEI initiative to begin with. My bro last week on the show mentioned that DEI is terrible. Right? A lot of people are saying, like, read, research, but please use your own thought. Beware of the snares of groupthink. Right? There was one woman who made a video. I didn't watch the video all the way through, but I watched it long enough. To hear her say that because Sister Tabitha Brown isn't a quote-unquote struggling business with products in Target. Now, Tabitha Brown is the one, she made a video saying that you can go to Target, like, don't just boycott altogether, because when you boycott, it hurts the Black brands that are in those businesses. Hey, that's what she said, right? That was her perspective. Yo, Tayono Vision, what's going on, my brother? Peace and love. That is her perspective, right? She has products in Target. She's like, yo, don't boycott because it's going to hurt our sales. And then Target can say we didn't perform well and throw us off the shelves. Some people are saying you shouldn't want your business and your product in Target to begin with, right? Cool. Everybody's on a different plane. Everybody's on a different frequency. Tabitha Brown mentioned something that was good. A lot of folks, Black folks, strive to be in mainstream retail. And once they get there, they're there. All right. And people should do what they can to keep it there. I agree. However, if you were saying that the company doesn't have good practices, then why are you doing business with them? A lot. So I brought up Tabitha Brown because she made that video saying that, like, selective buying, like, buy only Black brands in these stores that you want to boycott. Don't boycott altogether, right? But this woman made a video saying that because Tabitha Brown isn't a quote-unquote struggling small business with products in Target, people shouldn't be following her suggestion. Like, she's saying that she doesn't need sales because she's not a struggling business. She doesn't need the money. That sounded like pure hate to me. Like I said, I didn't watch the whole video. I watched like 2 minutes. It was like a 7-8 minute video, but it sounded like pure hate. It sounded like, oh, because she said, oh, Tabitha Brown's a wealthy person. She doesn't. It's like, whoa. So because I got money, because I'm successful, I have no opinion, or you shouldn't listen to my suggestion. Like, it's not valid. So if it was a struggling business, you can do it, but not a successful business. I thought you supporting the business just because you want to support the business, not whether. But people do that. People do that. People support you when you struggle, when you broke, but then when you make money and you're successful, like, you don't need my support no more. You don't need my support no more. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Holy cow. I think people be hating. People absolutely be hating. Man, like I said, I completely understand shopping at those stores, regardless of whose products. I mean, I completely understand not shopping at those stores, regardless of whose products are being sold there. I also understand shopping there for just your Black brands. I understand it. I understand it all. Right? But to say, like, to do so because Tabitha Brown's a wealthy person, it sounds like straight up hate. Right? It's a lot going on, guys. It's a lot going on. It's a lot happening. It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to discuss. Right? It's a lot to do. Right? And I believe that it takes work. It takes work. It does take sacrifice. It does take some form of boycott. Right? I'm like, let's boycott MTA. Right? People like, yo, I need to get to work quick. The sacrifice, man. Sacrifice is like getting up early, walking, carpooling. Right? I mean, I know that things are tough. right? I know that things are not as easy now as they were back then because of, people are working further from home, right? People are living in Queens, working in the Bronx, right? Congestion pricing, right? If you work in Manhattan, it may not be easy to boycott MTA and walk to work, right? Maybe drive, right? But then you're supporting the tolls, you're paying the tolls and congestion pricing and all of these things. And so times change, strategy change, right? And we got to always go back to the drawing board. Always go back to the drawing board. And certain things from the past work. You got to do them just in a different way. Certain times you got to throw away the whole thing and do something different. I don't know. I'm just sharing the news, man. Asia, Emily, good morning, Sugar Ray. Thank you for waking up early to speak your mind. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. Thank you so much for tuning in. She said boycott Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk. We need to boycott Trump. He started all this. I think this started long before Trump, my sister. Long before Trump came into office. This stuff was bad. This country is bad. Like I said earlier, a lot of us pushed to freaking boycott the whole American political system. Now, clearly politics affects our lives 100%. But on the presidential level, you ain't got to vote, right? Like, that's a whole nother thing. But said boycott specific persons now responsible for the drama. Yeah, boycott everybody, man. Boycott everything. Do what's on your heart. Name the persons, not the entire company that we need. I mean, how can you boycott a person that's part of a company? I don't understand that. But anyway, guys, that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 290 on SRDaily. I should be getting confirmation today on location for episode 300, which will be in 2 weeks. Tuesday, February 11th. Every 100th episode, we do a live studio audience. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I had a super dope meeting last week with potential partner. Once this, email comes back today or go ahead, I will share it with everyone, and we're gonna move right along with planning episode 300. Get a couple of sponsors, get some beverages. It should be a great time. Once again, mark your calendar. Episode 300, Tuesday, February 11th. Special episode, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Live studio audience, guest interviews. It is Black History Month, so we will be talking about Black history, present, past, and future, what we have to do to move forward. We'll be reaching out to some folks for interviews. Super dope, super excited. But we got 10 more episodes to get there. Thanks for tuning in today. Please be sure to tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, January 29th, 2025 for episode 291, 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live. Once again, I'm your boy, your host, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston. SRDaily with personality meets enlightenment. Remember, it's not getting knocked down. That's the problem. It's staying down. So get up. The power is in you. As always, be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. See you guys soon. Peace and love. As my love says, be great and make it a great one. Absolutely. Peace and love.